wakeful horror, I listened as they hammered down my coffin lid. This phrase kept entering my mind. I didn't know where I had heard it. Perhaps I'd read it somewhere. Clickety-clack went the train wheels as the gentle swaying of the carriage lulled me back to sleep. The next thing I knew was the guard shaking me awake. "This be your station, sir." I managed to rouse myself. He'd already retrieved my small suitcase down from the luggage rack. I just stood there slightly bemused as the train, hissing and spitting steam, pulled out of the station. It had gone. There was a silent stillness in the air. Strange. There wasn't any bird song as you would expect on a summer evening in the country. I took in my bearings and looked about the deserted station. The picturesque booking office was very quaint but very old and dilapidated. The double wrought iron gates had a padlock on them. How was I to get out? There was a sign saying, "Way out," pointing down the platform. I made my way along the direction of the arrow and found an opening. As I went through, I was confronted by a horse and coach. The coachman stood at the front holding the bridle of the significantly beautiful black horse. He let go of the horse and walked towards me. Reached for my suitcase. I was somewhat taken aback as I was just about to ask him for directions. Sensing my unease, he continued, "Evening, sir. You be expected, sir." "Thank you." "But how do you know that I am the person you are expecting?" "That be easy, sir. Trains don't stop here but once a week, and today ain't its day." "You mean it made an unscheduled stop just for me?" "Yes, sir." I felt quite flattered. "At the request of his lordship, of course." "Oh, yes, of course," I said, feeling a little foolish. It took about 20 minutes to reach the manor house, and considering the state of the road, it wasn't too bumpy a ride. The coach stopped outside the main entrance, and almost on cue, the huge oak doors opened. I was greeted by the butler who, without speaking, took my suitcase and led the way to my room. "His lordship will be expecting you in the main hall in 20 minutes. Was all he said as he left. I had a wash and put on a clean shirt. I didn't know if I was supposed to have an evening jacket or not, but then again, this was a business trip. I eventually found the main hall, and his lordship was already seated at the far end of a long table. He was a tall, distinguished man of perhaps 60 years or more, and indicated the seat at the far end of the table. As I took my seat, the butler pulled out a glass of wine for me. I noticed that his lordship had his own bottle. "You wanted me to look at your account books?" "Later. I would like to talk about my wife," he said as he raised his glass and drank. I assumed it was a toast to his wife, and likewise raised my glass and took a large swallow. "Will she be joining us? I would like to meet her ladyship." "But you have already met her, and I'm sure you had a lovely time." "I don't understand," I said, feeling a little uncomfortable. 2 weeks ago. "Veronica?" "Now I am impressed. She told you her real name. Why, she must have really liked you." "I didn't know she was a married lady, and besides, she must only be in her 20s, I replied, now feeling decidedly nervous. "If you had known that she was married, would it have made any difference?" I just shrugged my shoulders and didn't answer. I don't suppose any of her other lovers would have cared either. And as you rightly say, she's only 22, and I am an old man. I didn't mean any disrespect. Of course you didn't. You just used my wife for a week, but you didn't mean any disrespect. He laughed at his own joke, a rather chilling, evil laugh. My head was starting to feel the effects of the wine. My vision was becoming unfocused, but I hadn't had but one mouthful of wine. That was the last thought I had as I fell forward onto the table, unconscious. I came to and tried to open my eyes, but then I realized that they were open. It was because I was in total darkness. I went to sit up, but found my movements restricted. My arms reached out to feel the size of what I could only imagine was a box. I could hear hammering, and it was then that the phrase once more entered into my mind. In wakeful horror, I listened as they hammered down my coffin lid. Ah!